Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. T here of Bed Crime Stories. I just wanted to wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving week. I hope that you will be dining on turkey or tofurkey, pie, gravy, stuffing, yada yada yada. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the Mica Miller case. A lot of people think that Micah's first marriage was to John Paul Miller. That is not actually the case. She was married when she was just 18 years old to a guy named Jeremy. Jeremy is said to have been the music director in the Solid Rock Church founded by John Paul Miller, and Jeremy was also John Paul Miller, or JP as they call him. He was his best friend, supposedly. Just to quickly recap, Micah's body was found at 4:23 p.m. on April 27, 2024 at North Carolina's Lumber River State Park. This park is 14,000 acres of wilderness, and it straddles a blackwater river called the Lumber River. As I said in the introduction, Mica Miller was actually married to another man before she wed Pastor John Paul Miller of the Solid Rock Church. Her first husband was John Paul Miller's best friend, as well as the music director for the church. And in fact, John Paul officiated Micah's marriage and her wedding to her husband, number one, Jeremy Diaz. Mica married Jeremy in 2012 when she was just 18 years old. Unfortunately, the marriage ended in divorce in 2016. The rumor is that Mica and JP were actually caught in the act of being intimate in 2015, and this was a major scandal for the church. Jeremy Diaz felt that JP had methodically gone after Mica, despite Mica being married to him. And in fact, John Paul was even present when Jeremy proposed to Mica. Now, people might be saying, well, why is this relevant to Mica's death? It's relevant because it sheds light on John Paul's character, or rather, his lack of character, his lack of a moral compass. Mica has said that JP groomed her. Some people said this was starting at age 10. That is not true. Instead, it was when she was 15. The affair that took place between John Paul and Mica led to 2 divorces. John Paul's divorce from his first wife, Allison, and Mica's divorce from Jeremy. I can't believe this church survived such a major scandal with their pastor. John Paul's wife, Allison, asked the court to be given full custody of their children, and in her affidavit, she wrote this: in 2015, JP was the pastor of Solid Rock Ministries. I served as his assistant to pastoral duties. We separated after I learned JP was having an adulterous affair with our former nanny, Mica Miller, who joined our church at the age of 15 and was married to JP's best friend, who was also on our church staff and serving as our church worship leader at the time of their affair. JP told me that in addition to his affair with Mica, he had employed, and I'm not going to use the word that she used, I'm going to say ladies of the night, and had been inappropriate with several underage female members of our church. He blamed his immoral behaviors on the essay that he experienced for years by his father, Wayne Miller. The church requested that JP enroll in an extensive S addiction program. However, despite him promising me that he would, to my knowledge, that never happened. The affair between JP and Mica tore our personal and church family apart. Williams' complaint further stated that JP's mental health and deviant S addictions have only worsened since the time they were married. And according to Allison, she learned the identities of the minor female members of the church with whom Miller had allegedly been inappropriate, and Allison urged them to go to the police. When they declined out of fear of retribution from JP, Allison, contacted law enforcement to file a report and initiate an investigation. According to Allison, she found herself with her hands tied after the police told her that no one would believe her because JP was a well-known pastor and because they were in the middle of a divorce. That supports the notion that Mica Miller also knew that no one would believe her when she tried to divorce John Paul based on his infidelity, based on his abuse. She kept a lot of notes because she felt no one would believe that a pastor was capable of this stuff. When Allison found herself unable to hold JP criminally accountable for the crimes that she claims he committed, she decided to focus instead on protecting her children in the aftermath of the divorce. Ultimately, a custody agreement was reached that allowed JP periodic visitation with all his kids except for his daughter, with whom visitation was limited to daytime visits. Mica Miller was established by Allison as a stabilizing figure in her children's lives, a safety net. Allison said things went about as well as they possibly could have gone between her and her ex-husband because of Micah. However, beginning in 2021, Micah's and John Paul's marriage began to deteriorate, and according to Allison Williams, their children were placed directly in the middle of the discord. So this tells me a couple things. Number one, even though Micah had cheated with John Paul, Allison saw her eventually as a stabilizing force in her kids' lives. That speaks to Micah's good character. Now, this same affidavit references one of JP's alleged paramours, a woman named Susie Skinner, whose husband died suspiciously in 2021. The affidavit says, quote, "Just 2 weeks prior to this incident, Susie's husband had confronted JP and asked him to leave his wife and children alone. It is chilling to know that the spouses of both Susie and JP are now dead from tragic events." End quote. Allison also described Sunday sermons given by Miller with their children present, in which he disparaged Micah, telling the congregation of her mental health issues before finally putting her in a mental health hospital. Allison said that when Micah returned home from her stay at that facility, it became an unpredictable situation in which JP would call Micah crazy one day and then assure the children she was fine the next. Allison wrote, quote, "They never knew what to expect, and the intense unpredictability and marital discord between JP and Micah negatively impacted them all. On one occasion, while picking up our daughter, I observed holes in their walls, hinges off the doors, and pieces of paper taped to the wall with negative affirmations about Micah. JP told me and our children that Micah was delusional and speaking different languages and seeing things that were not there. Williams said she received a call one evening from JP to inform her that Micah was having a breakdown and was on her way to Allison's home. When Micah arrived, he asked that Allison hold her there. Allison claims her understanding was that JP was trying to have Micah committed again, and their children were all there to witness these events. According to Allison, when Micah was finally able to break free of her husband, she sought counsel and guidance from Allison, her former friend, and a person who likely understood what she was going through. The two of them prayed together, and Micah warned Allison that her children were in danger with JP, submitting a number of exhibits along with the affidavit, such as recordings and text messages that seemingly align with the accounts received from Mica Miller's friends and family in the aftermath of her death. Among the exhibits that were submitted, one, a text message from Mica Miller's mother seeking help. Her mother begged Allison to call her. Her mother said, "I'm concerned for the safety of my daughter. I'm asking, begging you, not to let JP know that I've reached out to you. He will just further isolate Micah from us." 2. A group text message between Allison and JP and Micah discussing the custody arrangements of their daughter, who had turned 13. In the text, Allison informs the couple the custody arrangement will not change due to the fact Miller committed terrible crimes of essaying underage children. 3. Text messages sent from JP from their daughter's phone to Mica Miller's new phone asking her, Micah, to come home. And then on March 11th, 2024, just over a month before Micah's death, a text from Micah to Allison read, "I need to talk to you ASAP for the safety of your kids. Please call me." End quote. Clearly, Micah didn't feel safe, and she didn't think that JP's children were even safe. Mica Miller's family and friends believe that there's foul play involved in Micah's death. They point to the location where her body was found. They believe it was placed where it was found by the cops, and that her death was staged. Her father, Michael Francis, told News Nation, "I believe the whole thing was premeditated." So there's a lot here to ponder. You've got J.P. Miller claiming that his father essayed him, allegedly. You've got Micah reaching out to Allison saying that her children are not safe with their father, JP. You've got JP not following through on his agreement to get treatment for his S addiction. And you've got Micah's family feeling like her body was staged in the location where it was found. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time on Bed Crime Stories.
You make me cry and I gotta go to work.
I know, damn it, we shouldn't have to go to work.
Oh, so pretty.
Oh my goodness, where is my phone at? Looks stunning.